Hey everyone, and welcome to Valley Coasters. Back in June, I traveled to Iowa for my brother's baseball tournament, but before that, we made a stop at Adventureland in Altoona for about a day and a half. I had an awesome time at the park, and in this video, I'll be sharing my thoughts and full review of my experience at Adventureland. Let's get started. Let's start with the history of Adventureland, as it will help other parts of this review make sense. Back in 1970, Iowan businessman Jack Krantz wanted to bring a Disneyland-style park to his home state of Iowa after a trip there years before. In 1971, he announced his plans to build Adventureland, a 160-acre recreational facility with an estimated cost of $75 million in today's money. Construction started in 1973 with a planned opening year of 1974, but after some small tornado damage, it eventually opened in 1975. In 2025, Hershon, who are the owners of Silver Dollar City and Dollywood, bought Adventureland. With the history out of the way, let's start the review with the layout. When you enter the park, you find yourself at the town square area with buildings all around you and a carousel in the middle. Behind you is the station of the Adventureland train if you ever want to ride that. As you make your way into the park, you walk onto Main Street, which, if you remember from earlier, was part of Jack Krantz's dream of bringing a Disneyland-style park to Iowa. Along this street, there are more shops and restaurants. After you leave Main Street, you can either go right or left. Going left will take you to food stands, kiddie rides, and the entrance to Flying Viking. And going right will take you to more kids' rides as well as Space Shot, the park's SNS drop tower. Past Flying Viking is the entrance to the Underground, a dark ride roller coaster. As you make your way to the right side of the park, you will walk past the entrance to Monster and eventually get to the entrance for Tornado. Making your way to the back, you will find Dragon Slayer in the Wild West section with a wooden roller coaster named Outlaw. This is also where the entrance to Adventure Bay, their water park, is located. Finally, on the left side of the park is Phoenix, a Mauer spinning coaster. The park layout is quite simple, however it can be hard to find the path to the Wild West section and Outlaw if you haven't studied the layout. There also isn't a designated area for kids' rides, and instead they are sprinkled throughout the park, which I honestly like more than having a dedicated kids section because families can go through the park together, with the teens and adults riding more intense rides while children can ride kiddie rides if they want to. Although the layout is not bad at all, there are two main problems I have with Adventureland. The first is bathrooms. There are only 7 bathrooms in the whole park, and 3 of them are in the Main Street area, meaning for most of the park there are 4 bathrooms, which is not enough at all. The second is operations. There's only one train for 4 rides here: Underground, Flying Viking, Outlaw, and Tornado, which can all get very busy depending on the time and day. And I'm not saying they choose to only operate one train, they literally only have one train. For 3 rides, they have spots they could put extra trains, but they are completely empty. It also doesn't help that the dispatches on Outlaw and Tornado were quite slow for me. Luckily, dispatches on Underground and Monster are great, so the wait time is usually shorter than it says. The merchandise at this park is quite good, and for my fellow coaster enthusiasts, they have Monster and Tornado Nano coasters, as well as a Parkscape. There are many stores where you can get merchandise here, but my personal favorite is the general store at the front of the park, which has shirts, stickers, nano coasters, and much more. Now let's get into the rides. I won't go too in-depth for the sake of time, but I will give you a short review of every coaster and some other rides. Let's start with Flying Viking. It is a Zamperla Junior coaster, so it isn't super thrilling at all, and there also isn't really a drop. It consists of 3 helixes, and surprisingly, they are all decently intense. The ride is super short though, being only about 30 seconds long. Next is Underground, and this ride is basically just a dark ride with wooden track. It was built by CCI and themed to an old abandoned underground mine that has been taken over by outlaws. The theming is well done, but it doesn't really tell a story. There's also a pre-show that is really cool and it tells a bit of the story, but the theming during the ride doesn't really show it. I also found the ride very tame and underwhelming because I thought there would be at least a small drop, but there isn't. Just a bunch of turns and lift hills. Now let's go to Phoenix. It is a Mauer spinning coaster and it was my first time going backwards on a lift hill, and it was really fun. It looks intense, but it isn't, which is nice for families. The drop is really good as it spins and there's a lot of variation in the layout. The spinning just makes it even more fun than it already is, so I like this ride a lot even though it isn't very intense. Also, I think there is station music on this ride and it is so good. I can't find a recording of it, but it kind of sounds like a more intense version of Millennium Force's station music. Next is Tornado. This is a classic PTC wooden coaster that has a decent layout with some great lateral forces, especially on the turnaround and the last hill. The airtime is decent, great on some hills, but some other ones have little to no airtime. Another awesome thing is that there's a ride operator who yells, "Tornado!" when the ride is dispatching and the entire train yells it back. It's awesome. There is one huge problem though, and it is the roughness. Tornado is very rough after the first drop, and it makes it quite unpleasant to ride. There is also some potholes on this ride when you run up hills, especially the ones after the turnaround. Now for the park's other wooden coaster, Outlaw. Tornado and Outlaw actually feel very similar because they both have great laterals and some good airtime, but they are very rough so it ruins the experience. Outlaw is kind of like a shorter version of Thunderhead at Dollywood if you've ever ridden that. Next up is Dragon Slayer, the SNS 40 free spin. This ride is cool because it has two sides, the mild side and the wild side. I only rode the mild side and it was way too much. I think my car had the perfect weight because I had to have flipped at least 10 times. It was insane. It's very smooth and forceful, which I like a lot, but it really depends on who is in your train. And now we have Monster, the last roller coaster. This is definitely the park's standout attraction. It is a Gerstlauer Infinity coaster with a 133-foot tall vertical lift hill and a 101-degree drop. It also has 5 inversions, which are all very fun and give some great hang time. I'm looking at you, the weird elongated vertical loop thing. It also only has lap bars, which make the whole ride much more enjoyable even if it has a little rattle, since you feel all the airtime and hang time without your head being smashed on the side of the restraints. I only rode this once sadly, but if I ever go back I will definitely be riding this more. Now for the 2 other rides I rode, Drake and Falls and Sawmill Splash. Let's start with Drake and Falls, the Zamperla log flume which wraps around Flying Viking. The drops are very fun and the setting is cool with Flying Viking around it, but that's honestly all I have to say. The other ride I went on was Sawmill Splash, which is basically a water slide with a conveyor before it. The double down drop was really fun as well as the insane spinning before it, but the operations are god awful. What was a 20-minute wait turned into a 1 hour, and trust me, it is not worth that wait. Let's end this review with the food. I didn't have that much to eat here since we left to get dinner instead of eating at the park, so I will instead talk about where you can get food and what they offer. There are many locations where you can get food and drinks around the park, and they have stuff such as walking tacos, pizza, burgers, hot dogs, chicken, and ice cream. Another good thing is that there are souvenir cups which you can buy at many food stands, and refills are $2. Also, if you have a season pass, you get a 5% discount on all food and drink items. I had a walking taco which was decent enough. It's not something I usually get, but for how much food I got, I think it was worth it. The other thing I had was a brownie sundae from the Creamery on Main Street. It was super sweet as well as big, so my dad and I shared it and it was really good. If you want a sweet treat here, then get this. In conclusion, Adventureland is a great park with a good variety of rides as well as a nice atmosphere, but I wouldn't recommend coming here unless you already live in the Midwest, or if it's on your way to another amusement park. I hope to go back to Iowa, especially with the recent Hirschend acquisition, because I think that they will give Adventureland some great investments. Thank you so much for watching and make sure to like and subscribe. See you next time!